What's going on YouTube? It is Just My Opinion, and today I will be giving you my first new review of 2020. It's going to be of Odesza's A Moment Apart. This was something that I wanted to review last year but just didn't have the time to be able to review. Now, Odesza is an EDM electronic duo based out of Seattle, Washington. Now, I don't do a lot of EDM reviews, even though I love EDM music and I've always enjoyed EDM music. I don't feel like EDM is the best genre to review full albums for, just because a lot of the artists and music that comes out from the EDM artists are very single based and not album based. But Odesza, though, there's a lot of hype surrounding them. A lot of people really like them. I first heard of them from some Pretty Lights remixes that they did a while back, in which I'm a big Pretty Lights fan. I didn't hear their 2012 album, but I did hear their album In Return, in which had two of their biggest singles, Say My Name and Some Models. Not as big on Say My Name, but Some Models, I absolutely love that song. They are pretty much Chillwave personified, just very chill, but very dense as well. The music is very dense and very grand sounding. Now, I do think they had, from In Return, a lot of good songs, but just as a whole, the album was very samey. It was just too much to be able to sit through all at once. Just because I thought a lot of it was very samey, and their vocal pitch shifting as well was very hit or miss for me. And the album starts off with a little quick intro in which introduces this narrative about somebody who is supposed to be trapped in space, and there's this continuous clicking sound driving this person insane, and the only way for this person to be able to keep their sanity is to embrace this clicking sound, in which segues right into A Moment Apart, which is the title track and is a standout track in my opinion off of this album. It's truly epic in soundscape and the production. It's hazy but beautiful at the same time. Has these booming up-tempo drums, and the pitch vocals I think on this one work absolutely amazingly. They sound great. I love when it gets very intimate and quiet with the pianos, as they sound very beautiful as everything starts to rise back again and build up. Just a lot of little intricate sounds and compositional things going on in the song for an EDM song in general, period, that just are absolutely amazing. The way they put it together. We then get Higher Ground, which is another standout track of mine on this album. Beautifully composed. It's mid to up tempo in pace and sound. A lot of their songs are kind of within the same realm of beats per minute. The drums on this are just very intricate and hard hitting. They have a very otherworldly sound to them. It has a very great build up as far as the reverby synths going all the way into the chorus. Once it drops, it gives off this feel almost like you're just like climbing like the highest mountain tops, and they do a great job on this one as well as far as blending pitch vocals with an actual vocal artist, Naomi Wild, who I thought did an absolutely outstanding job as far as her vocal performance on this song as well. Then from here we get the song Boy, which is Chillstep personified, has much more of a dubby dubstep type sound to it, but with their own style and flair. The drums on this one are a little bit more processed than they are organic. Not as grimy sounding as a lot of dubstep songs. It's a little bit easier on the ears for someone who's not really a big dubstep fan or a traditional dubstep fan. A nicer way to kind of expand your ears and soundscape to be able to get into dubstep. But for me, who has been into dubstep for a while, it just is a little bit boring for me. This is kind of the first misstep or song that I would kind of replace or remove from the album. We then get Line of Sight, which was their biggest hit from this album. I actually heard this song on the radio. I don't really listen to the radio that much in general, period, but Odesza, I know, doesn't really make music for the radio at all. They're more of an indie style electronic based group, but I could sort of see why this would make the radio. The pre-chorus is nice and catchy with vocal performances by Win and Mansionaire, which Mansionaire I praised on this channel before. I suggest checking them out. The actual drop is very Chainsmoker-esque, reminiscent, but just a little bit more reverby and atmospheric. And again, this one just gives off that nice, heavy and intense feel, but also blissful sound at the same time. We then get Late Night, which is easily my favorite song from this album. It's just a straight up electro house banger, straight up fire. A little bit of progressive house mixed in there as well. The driving dance house kicks and claps are just absolutely great, mixed in with the echoey new wave guitar riffs and the chilling vocal samples blending together outstanding. I just imagine like wolves running in the late night to this song, a nice song to just run or jog to in general. Overall, the blend and mix of all the different little electronic sounds and textures as well just gives an overall gorgeous feel and sound to this song. We then get Across the Room, which is one of the first songs in which features probably their two biggest collaborations and vocal features yet to date. Leon Bridges, who still isn't a big name as far as a vocal feature goes, but definitely blends in very, very well with the overall aesthetic that they were going with this song. It has a nice blend of just chillwave as well as neo soul R&B to it. The drums are a little bit lighter, and it has some very beautiful Rhodes keys and pianos to it. It has these nice electronic and string swells that mix in with this soulful vocal sample. It just all blends in very, very well. It shows off their versatility, their ability to take risks, and this type of sound and style both fit in with what they do very, very well as what Leon Bridges sounds great over. You then get Meridian, which I think is produced very, very well. It's very luscious vocal chants, and the drums on it, it gives kind of this tribal and worldly feel to it. The only big drawback from this song for me is just at a certain points throughout the song, the vocal sample in which they use becomes ear-piercingly too high. It's almost chipmunky-esque, and I just can't stand that. But the rest of the song, I think, is outstanding. If it was just that one little part that they got rid of or changed. We then get Everything at Your Feet, which this one features a vocalist who's singing in Spanish predominantly, in which I think that they did an absolutely good job as far as matching the overall tone of the vocalist with the production here. It's led by very, very beautiful trumpet and horn sound, very mellow in tone, one of the mellower songs on the album, but sounds very, very beautiful. We then get Just a Memory, which has some nice mellow synths, pianos, and electronic sounds to it. Now, this one is easily the softest sounding song on the project. There is little to no drums, if there is any drums at all, as this is done probably purposely to really give Regina Spektor, who's the vocalist on this song, the ability to shine, in which she sounds absolutely outstanding on this song. Very powerful vocal performance, all about this relationship that she was either in or is in, has been in, which has been a rough relationship. Even though they've had their battles, they'd rather be with this person than not at all. Again, Odesza does an outstanding job as far as crafting a song that suits what they do well as what she does well. You then get Divide, which is another standout track of mine. It kind of picks up the tempo a little bit from the past couple songs in which we've heard. It does start out kind of mellow in sound and style, but has some great programmed drums in there, and the bass is nice, hits hard. But for me, what stands out is the vocalist does a great job on this, but I love how they chop up her vocals before the drop and going into the drop. It sounds absolutely dope. It's so melodic as well, the way that they chop it up. And then they also chop up the actual synths on the actual drop as well. And it sounds very, very epic and grand again. But I just love the way that everything was kind of manipulated based off of the vocals of this one. And again, it just hits harder than a lot of the other songs from this project does. We then get Thin Floors and Tall Ceilings, which is a much slower tempo song than a lot of the songs on this project, but it's just very, very dense overall, as a lot of the drums and the synths and all the different sounds that are going on are extremely, extremely reverbed on this one, giving off again this very vast atmosphere, in which I thought it was good, but I thought it was a little bit underwhelming. As to me, I could be crazy, call me crazy, but it almost sounds like the opening track, A Moment Apart, but as far as compositionally wise and everything, but just slowed down so much. I wish I could pronounce this next song, but I don't even want to try and butcher it. But this next song, it does pick up the pace from the previous. Vibe kind of gives off like a Latin or tropical vibe to it, and I love the drums on this one, as there's a lot of intricate stuff going on with the drums and percussions in general. There's some nice claps in there, and they sound like actual real claps, not process claps from, like a drum machine, actual, like someone actually clapping. Vocals, the synths, the horns, everything could be glitchy at times, but then everything kind of switches and gets subdued and more peaceful once the song stops breaking down. But then the way that it builds back up, I love the drum sounds on it. To me, the song has some very good vibes to it. You then get the song Falls, which to me is the most commercial sounding out of all the songs on this project. To me, I think it's primarily because of the vocal performance by the singer Sasha Sloan. I did think that she did a very, very good job. The vibes and the catchiness of it, and her vocal performance, and how it's kind of very inspiring and powerful sounding. It sounds like something that could be on the radio. I do love her vocals, and how on the build up into the drop, everything, the drums and all the other instrumentation rises with her vocal performance. But to me, the drop is fairly anticlimactic and kind of disappointing. I'm also not really a fan of the vocal pitch shifting on the drop as well. To me, the drop in general it doesn't hit hard enough. It's just not, there's not enough oomph in it. So to me, the song kind of falls flat because of that reason. We then get the song Show Me, which again has the nice mid to up tempo sound in which they're known for. There's some very pretty sounds overall in the production here. It's just, I feel like at this point, it sounds very similar to a lot of what they've already done, minus just a lead vocalist. We then get Corners of the Earth, which is the epic grand finale of the standard version of this album, in which it builds up very, very nicely as far as the production and everything goes, and the vocal performance by Riot X, I think, is the standout of the entire song, especially towards the end. The way that everything is layered together as far as the vocal performance with kind of the choir towards the end as well. But overall, I just don't think that the build-up of this pays off into anything really rewarding. I think that, again, if they kind of amplified some of the drums, if they hit harder, amplified some of the sounds, it just would have sounded better. But it just didn't, and it dragged on for longer than I anticipated as well. We do have some bonus tracks as well. In the deluxe version, we get reprises of Falls, Higher Ground, and Line of Sight, as well as instrumental versions of those reprises, which are pretty much just alternative versions of those songs, where they're a little bit more acoustic, I guess you could say, as opposed to the original versions. We also get VIP mixes of two songs from In Return, Memories That You Call and It's Only, which are two of my favorite songs from that album, In Return. The It's Only VIP mix has a little bit edgier sound to it, and the Memories You Would Call, that VIP mix is a definite standout of mine, as I thought it sounded great on In Return, but as a electro house banger that they mixed it into on this, it just hits so much harder. It slaps. It's dope as hell. The only real new song that we get from the deluxe version is Loyal, which is a straight up banger. I heard this song a lot on commercials and ads all over the place. This one has some great tribal chants and squawking sounds in it that blend in very, very well with the rest of the the drums, some nice processed 808s, dope sounding drum lines, and on the drop of the song we get these really epic horns. Overall, just a straight up banger. So overall, in conclusion, I think that this project is produced extremely well, and I do think that they are doing something very different in electronic music as far as being able to blend processed sounds as well as actual organic sounds that kind of give the overall songs a bit more oomph, and they do sound very epic and grand and sound scale and very intricate. And I do think that compared to their previous album In Return, this one does vary more. There's a lot more variation to it. Kind of gives you more, and it's a little bit more rewarding of an overall listening experience, in my opinion, than In Return. However, I do think that there are some songs that are a little bit repetitive, and that if they were cut and the album was made a little bit shorter, it would make it a more impactful listen. All that being said, I do think that it is a really good album, but it's just a little fat trimming away from being a great to amazing album. So overall, I'm going to give this one a 6.5 out of 10. Remember, this is just my opinion, and thank you for watching YouTube.